Welcome to the Private Practice Startup, where we inspire you from startup to mastery. We chat with entrepreneurs, experts in the mental health and business arenas, and successful private practitioners to give you the tools needed to make your dream practice a reality. Visit theprivatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, free trainings, and so much more. Here are your hosts, Dr. Kate Campbell and Katie Lemieux. Hello, Startup Nation. Welcome to another episode of the Private Practice Startup Podcast. I'm Dr. Kate Campbell, your co-host, and we have
Katie Lemieux. Hey, everybody.
Yes, so we are really excited about today's show. It's actually a Friday here in sunny South Florida. It's a beautiful day, and wherever you are, whenever you're listening, we hope you're having an awesome day and that you're about to be inspired by our podcast topic here, which is the 3 steps to creating and delivering an amazing signature speech
with Simone Alicia. So we are super excited. She is here in our office today giving and delivering this awesome podcast speech, and she's going to be talking about...
Yes. We just said it, the 3 steps to creating and delivering an amazing signature speech.
And so Simone is a certified neuro-linguistic programmer. I guess you're certified in neuro-linguistic program. There we go. An honorary doctor of divinity. So let me share with you guys a little bit about Simone. Simone and I, as she would say, we stalked each other. That's how we met.
Stalkers. Uh-oh, should I be scared?
Just a little.
Just a little email stalking first. Yeah, I think we had been on a same email list of a networking thing. Mm-hmm. And then I just really liked her energy. I was like, oh, you look like someone I'd like to connect with. And hey, let's meet up. And so we did. And the rest is history.
Absolutely.
So Simone is the self-esteem doctor. And if you are from South Florida, you probably know of her. And if you haven't yet, you definitely want to. Like I said, she's certified in neuro-linguistic programming. Her success comes from providing high energy presentations. And let me tell you, if you guys know Simone, that is no joke. She is that.
Yes.
Full of, and I don't think I've ever seen her not full of energy, which is amazing.
Yeah, I can remember meeting you for the first time. I guess it was about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, something like that. And you stood out at just your energy and your confidence, and you are your brand for sure.
True. Very true.
Just to give you guys an image, Simone wears a white doctor's coat that says the self-esteem doctor pretty much everywhere she goes. But today she shows up in a black shirt that says the self-esteem doctor. So I'm like, girl, you wear your brand everywhere. And it's so cool because you're like a walking advertisement for yourself.
Absolutely. And I've expanded the wardrobe. So we've got the black shirt, the cape, everything.
The cape.
All the swag. Great. That's great.
So Simone produces results-oriented private practice sessions, whether personally or professionally, for professional development or personal development. And her mission is really to reduce stress and improve overall success with the power of self-esteem. She loves running, not really into fitness though, but more of a meditative practice to really center herself, breathe and oxygenate her body and cells. She loves doing cartwheels in the grass with her kids and really enjoys driving stick shift. And her favorite color is blue. So
before we get started, we just want to share with you guys a few things. We have some resources for you, so stay tuned. We are, as you know, very committed to inspiring your journey from startup to mastery in private practice. So here are a few bonus resources. Number 1, if you're not a member of our exclusive Facebook group, make sure you join. It's the Private Practice Startup. Just request to be a part of the group, and there you'll be able to interact with colleagues, our awesome podcast guests, share resources, collaborate, etc. Bonus number 2, we have the A to Z cheat sheet. It's the essentials for building your private practice. Text the word essentials in all caps to 44222 to get your copy. And last but not least, we have an awesome resources page on our website, which is filled with the resources that we use and love in our own private practices and highly recommend for our clients. So we invite you guys to check that out.
And a lot of times when you do check them out, there'll be free months or trial periods. So you want to make sure
discounts.
Discounts. You want to make sure you go through
We love the discounts.
We do.
Yep, you got to make sure you click on the actual links to get the discounts though. Yeah, so Simone, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited. Energy feels good. I'm ready to flow.
Yay. Woo woo. So tell us what led you into the business you're in now.
Actually, interestingly enough, it started off in modeling mixed with my own bullying before that, being bullied. And it just kind of birthed into this. I want to be able to get in control of my mind and understand how to help others to get in control of their mindset and use that with this idea of self-esteem and believing in yourself to do everything to accomplish on a professional level, a personal level, and generally feel less stressed and more encouraged. Like you can actually do something and accomplish what you want in life and just feel better than I was feeling when I was a little bit younger. So,
wow.
Yeah.
And what were you bullied about?
Well, I can remember one particular instance. I went from private school to public school. It was starting sixth grade. And those kids made fun of everything. Why do you talk like that? Why do you get grades like that? Why does your hair look like that? I remember one day being in the halls and they stopped me, a bunch of girls, and they were like, "You've got tracks in your hair." And I'm like, what are tracks? I have no idea what they're talking about, but I don't want to say that because I'm already being, made fun of. So they stop me, pull my head down, pull out my hair clip, and they're searching through my hair for these tracks. Later, I learned that it's extensions and, to show the fake hair. And I realized that that's what they were doing. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. And so that was one of the biggest moments for me that I didn't talk the right way. I didn't get the right grades. And so that was huge for me and just feeling very self-conscious. And so am I not supposed to be smart? Is it bad to get good grades? How am I supposed to talk? I don't understand, right? So it was very confusing for me. And then when I got into modeling, I saw that people who were supposed to be the beautiful people all had self-esteem issues. Oh, I hate this and I hate that and this and that and that. And I was like, what's going on? Then I started teaching elementary school and I see the little kids, 8 years old. I'm fat, I'm this. And I'm like, there's an issue here that is spread across everything from 8-year-old kids to fashion models to, of course, my own experience in school. Mm-hmm. And I figured we've got to do something about it.
So clearly you're very passionate about that, and your own experience, your pain that you went through growing up inspired your purpose.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I'm all about pain into purpose. I believe that that's really what it all is about. So we've got to use it.
Yes.
We've got to use it.
Absolutely. So what would you say is the best advice you've received that relates to being an entrepreneur?
I mean, you hear some of the typical stuff like, never give up and keep going and things like that. I would say just dream big has been something that's been one of my biggest inspiration. Like, don't put a limit on the dream. And that's where even my own self-esteem was continuously developed as I had to grow the courage to believe that I could dream a dream so big and actually accomplish it. And then from there, it's just bigger and bigger and bigger. So I would say the best advice is literally don't hold back. Like, dream as big as you can get.
I heard a quote a couple months ago. I know I've heard it before, but I just heard it again recently. It's if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It is a good one. It really is.
So share something with our audience. I mean, I think your story is something that you've had to overcome. And I don't know if you have anything additional that you want to share in regards to being in business and where you are today.
Oh, absolutely. When I first started my business, like I kind of began to mention, I was inspired by the modeling industry. I guess that was the final push. Like, okay, this is obviously a problem everywhere. So when I first opened my business, I had this cute little studio and we had a runway there. And I was like, so here's the idea. People are obsessed with modeling and all this. Why don't I use this platform that kids and people seem to be so in love with to inspire that mindset change? Because when you get on the runway, there's like that transformation, right? We call it a transformation in your physiology, the way you carry your body. So you get on the runway, you start walking a little differently and you carry yourself a little differently and you're all, jazzed up and whatnot. So I was like, let's do that. That'll be my business. We're going to fix the mindset using the runway and kind of blend it. Well, nobody quite got that. As they came through, they saw me and they're like, oh, you used to model. I've seen you before. And then they saw the runway and they were like, make my child a star. And I was like, okay, but I don't do that. What I can do is make your child really confident. And they were like, yeah, how much does that pay? And I'm like, well, in the short run, maybe not so much, but long term, they're going to have bigger dreams and do better. There was not much interest in that. So what happened was eventually we had to close the doors. I couldn't afford to keep it open, wow. Had to shift the focus there. Right around that time, I met the husband, got married, had the kids. So it was a good downtime for me to sort out what I wanted to do. But oddly enough, I just knew it was my passion was teaching and speaking and reaching people. I just knew it. And I knew self-esteem was at the heart of it. So after I had my second baby, literally I delivered him and then it was like, the self-esteem doctor. This is it. This is it. And I'm like, this is it. So I'd done more schooling in that time. I had done, gotten my education, done the NLP, done the doctorate in divinity. So by then I'd fine-tuned. So I used again that pain and fine-tuned, got clarity until this part of my business, this new evolved version of my business was born. And I think this was the purpose of all of it. So I'm really grateful for that hardship because it gave birth to something so much more.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. So let's just jump right into the topic. So what is step number 1?
All right. So we're talking about really creating and developing this amazing signature speech. And I want to say, of course, I wouldn't be the self-esteem doctor if I didn't start with number 1 being having self-esteem, right? The courage in yourself. I'm talking about really believing in your ability to deliver what it is that you want to deliver in your speech. It starts there. And although sometimes that's a step we skip, like, does it need to get to the content? The way you deliver the content is based on how you're thinking and feeling about yourself, which is how I define self-esteem. It's how you're feeling. It's how you approach that stage. It's how you prepare. It's every single element. It's actually foundational and fundamental to every single element of preparing your speech is, do I feel competent and capable in delivering this speech? And if not, how can you get there? Usually preparation is one of the best ways to get there. Prepare, study, look into what you want. Of course, I'm going to throw in meditate a little bit too, get into a little Zen space, like trust yourself and love yourself enough to know that if you have this desire to do this, you've got something within you that can let you do it. Trust your feelings, trust the way that you are guided towards doing this. And another element of that for me, again, part of step one is the self-esteem, knowing yourself, loving yourself, trusting yourself, but also having fun and being yourself, right? So when you get on stage and you try to take on this persona of like, well, I'm a very serious person with very serious content, and you better listen to me. It's
and
like
super duper credentials,
right.
Expertise.
And here's my list of credentials for the next 15 minutes.
Me.
Then it's like snooze fest / slightly intimidated by you / I have no idea where we go from here. So number one is really to trust yourself. And that is a process of building the self-esteem and focusing on the things that you're doing right and doing well and really believing in your ability to deliver the message. I think it's so powerful. And unfortunately, it's a step we skip because we tend to think, oh, self-esteem, it's for kids, for kids bullying in the hallway. That might be where it started for me, but that's not where it ends, because every single thing we do, every decision we make, and the way we even approach that stage is completely based on the way we're thinking and feeling about ourselves. And if I can tell you the story, I taught my daughter what self-esteem is, of course, her whole life, right? So at age 4, which was last year, which to her was like a long time ago.
Of course.
Right? She's like, I'm 5 now, Mom. I don't even do that anymore. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, big girl, right? So when she was 4, I asked her one day, I'm like, so Shaylee, what's self-esteem? And she's like, I know what self-esteem is. And she's got a little, neck roll, hands on the shoulder. Yeah, hands on her hips. Mom, self-esteem is the way I'm thinking and feeling about myself. And I'm like, well, hello, hi, right? So from then on, every time I do a presentation, I say to everyone, this is how my daughter says it. And now for you to remember it, you've got to say it too. So if you were live with me in an audience, you would be saying this in your best 4-year-old voice. Self-esteem is the way I think and feel about myself. Right?
Actually, just do it now, whether you're in your car or sometimes I listen to podcasts in the shower. Go ahead and just shout it out. I love it.
Absolutely do it. It sticks and it feels really good. So I would definitely put that in.
Do we have to say that?
Yeah.
Self-esteem is the way I think and feel about myself.
Yes.
There you go.
Self-esteem is the way I think and feel about myself.
Yes. I love it. I love it.
Your 4-year-old's too serious.
I love it. Bring out that inner 4-year-old and feel it and remember it. And again, it's the first step. Don't disregard it. It's that step that will take you out on that stage in a way that lets you really deliver with your audience.
So we know you do a lot of work with teens around self-esteem, and we know you do a lot of activities. So what are some of the things that you actually do to help them get in that space in what you're talking about with that number one, like the preparation?
The building self-esteem. So do you want to know about teens or you want to know in general?
Well, just in general.
Okay, perfect. So I would say one of the things that we do to ourselves is we go through the list of everything that can go wrong on the stage. We go through the list of, well, what if I don't know this, or what if I mess up, or what if I trip? And unfortunately, that sets the stage for us to not feel confident as we approach the stage or feel very good. Another huge thing that I always advise people is watch your mouth, watch your language. And what I mean by that is you get that little feeling in your chest or in your stomach, and immediately you say, I'm so nervous. How am I going to do this? I'll never do this. I encourage you to switch your language. If you're someone that has that fear, switch your language to, oh my gosh, I can feel this excitement. There's so much excitement in my chest. If you switch the word from nerves to excitement, you would be so surprised. When you get on stage in that element of excitement, you deliver like someone who's excited. When you get on the stage with the element of fear, you might start off as someone who's in fear, or you may feel like you're in this battle to push through, which then affects how your audience receives you.
It's so funny because we tell our clients these things all the time, but we as therapists and clinicians, it's so important to follow that advice because it really does make the world of difference.
It does. And your audience can feel it.
That's so funny. You said your 4-year-old is so serious. I was a very shy kid when I was growing up. Yeah, a very shy kid. So that was a good shy little voice. So actually was like
a serious and comfortable 4-year-old shy.
Yep.
Got it.
Tapped right into it.
Oh my goodness. So see, we're doing it.
And so what about also just kind of getting familiar with the space? Like being comfortable in the space. Like I almost think of like drama or theater, like get on the stage and feel around. What about something like that?
I definitely don't think it can hurt. I'm a big believer in go forward in things that feel aligned to you. Sometimes we're looking for advice for others, and I don't think anything's wrong with that. I think it's powerful and amazing to learn from each other and take ideas from each other and share. I also think, though, that there's that voice within you. There's that feeling, there's that nudge. And sometimes our nudge is different than someone else's. If I'm going east and you're going west, if I start to try my hardest to follow your nudge, I'm going the wrong way for me, even though you may be on your right path. So if checking out the space feels like this will help add to my comfort, then go for it. But don't let it limit you. If there's for some reason you can't get to this space, I want you to be able to tell yourself, I'm going to be okay without seeing this space. It's going to be like a nice surprise and I'll just work the space as best I can. It's really that language. It's really,
I like it.
Yeah.
One of the things that's helped me, because I was not comfortable with public speaking at all. I would dread getting up in front of the room and giving presentations growing up and stuff like that, and just have so much anxiety about it. So it's something I've had to practice and really work very hard to get over. And as much as we present now, I can get up and I'm just like, it's good. I'm good.
Right.
I have fun with it. My personality comes out. But one of the things that really helps me is getting there early and then actually making connections with everyone, kind of working the room beforehand. Right. So that way I know I have people's names. I have made some sort of an introduction. I've connected with people and they don't feel so much
like
as
strangers.
And it's not so overwhelming. Everybody's staring at me and I don't know any of them.
Right.
So that's something that's really helped me get more comfortable with it.
That's a really good thing to do also. And actually that feeds into my number 2 as well with the, with building.
What is number 2?
So number 2 is really about connecting with the audience, right? Oh. Connecting with the audience. Yeah. Hey, look at you. You taking a look at my notes. I'm just kidding. So number 2 really is about considering your audience. And I love to talk about rapport when it comes to talking to your audience. First of all, who are you talking to? Who is in your audience and why are they there? There's a big difference between making a presentation so that people can receive your message. And there's a difference between you making a presentation just because you want to relieve yourself of information. You just want to I got to get this out. It doesn't matter if you hear it. It doesn't matter if you understand. I just need to say it because this is my mission. We need to make sure we find the blend where when you are expressing yourself, that you do feel good doing it. You're in that space where you feel like you are just in that biggest evolved version of yourself, giving the best of yourself, and the audience is receiving what you're giving. Otherwise, it's all for naught, right? So we want to make sure that the audience and you're building rapport. And I love talking about rapport because it is such an amazing thing, an amazing tool that can really be a huge life changer and a business deal saver and everything when you are working with people, because there's that communication below the communication. There's that sub-communication, if you will, subconscious communication. And there is where our power really is. See, if we can figure out certain things about our audience, like people have certain ways of seeing the world. In NLP, we call them internal representations. So if people see the world visually, and that doesn't mean they don't interpret the world in other ways, but if they feel really strong visually, or they feel really strong kinesthetically, or they feel really strong auditorily, even audio digitally, there's different ways to interpret the world. So the way that people are more comfortable, if we can speak that language, they tend to receive the message much more clearly. And so there's a way to do this in your speech without even having to give them something to hold if they're kinesthetic. You can use kinesthetic language. And actually, I have a whole entire class on this, and that's the class I'll talk about a little bit more at the end.
That's so cool. Can you give us an example of that?
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. So let's say that we are talking to someone, and this can be in an audience setting or in a one-on-one setting, of course, even in your private practice, or even in a business deal you want to close. And if you can find out from the person that you're talking to that they are, let's say, kinesthetic. Now, kinesthetic means that the person really relates to touching things and feeling things. So if I'm talking to someone in a business meeting or I have that one-on-one ability, then my ideal is to give them something to hold while we talk. So I'm talking to them, I'm handing them a brochure, they've got a pen, I'm telling them to write that down so you can remember. They're making this subconscious connection because they enjoy writing, they are kinesthetic, they're interpreting the world and my message more clearly, they're believing me more, they're connecting with what I'm saying more. Now, if I don't have the pen, I don't have the paper, what I can do is use words that imply touch and feeling. So I can say to someone, so you feel what I'm saying, right? are you grasping what I'm telling you? Can you really feel your way around what I'm talking about? So you use the language that actually, it's amazing. And it's really, really powerful and delicious, which that appeals to gustatory, right? It's a delicious way to interpret and talk to people and communicate, and you get through so much faster.
That's awesome.
So I would say in a presentation setting to make sure to incorporate all of the internal representations, all those types of languages. So you standing up with an audience and you say, hey guys, can you hear me? Can you feel what I'm saying? Do you see this more clearly in your mind's eye? Does this ring a bell? And you're using these words like, this is a delicious topic. This is a mouth-watering idea I'm sharing with you. And people in the audience, because of their internal representation, will feel like, oh, that was the best presentation I ever heard. That was wonderful. I connected so much with that. It resonated with me. Wow. And that's part of the power of really building rapport on that level.
That's so interesting. I always love evoking the senses, and I had never ever thought about it in this context. So that's brilliant.
Thank you.
Very cool. Great from the self-esteem doctor.
So let's move on to tip 3.
So tip number 3 is all about being memorable. So you've already worked on yourself and you're feeling good and you've got something to deliver. And then number 2, you considered your audience, you know who's sitting there, and you have some ideas of how to talk to them regarding tonality and rapport and all that. And now step number 3 would be making sure they can remember when they leave that setting. How do you get them to remember you and remember what you've talked about? How do you get them to know you, like you, trust you, do business with you, right? The idea is to be memorable. And sometimes stories, or as we would say in NLP, metaphors, are a great way, because although we all have different internal representations, we tend to be very visual. So if I can give you a picture in your mind to retain, then you're going to be able to relate to me a little bit better. You're going to remember me a little bit better. I've told the story of being bullied. I've given a very clear example. If someone's child comes to them now and says, Mommy, this happened at school, the chances are a little higher than, instead of just remembering the self-esteem doctor, they'll remember this lady that told a story of someone going through their hair and something like that, because the story sticks. So in your presentations, part of being natural and making this an amazing presentation is telling stories. Mm-hmm. I remember really, really early on, I was so, get the content. Like, they need to know that I know what I'm talking about, give them the content. And then when I was able to relax in, but the story is part of the content. The story is actually going to make the content stick a little bit better. I relaxed into myself as a presenter, as a speaker, and was able to deliver more comfortably some of the stories that would help things stick and last a little bit better.
And that's one of the things that therapists need to grow more confident in, is disclosing and sharing some of their own stories. Absolutely. And, how they're passionate about what they're doing, their purpose, and being able to share stories about that.
Yeah, especially when we're talking about a speech or presentation, for sure. And if they're not comfortable using metaphor and analogy in their work to really communicate something that they're trying to get across. So, I'm just always so impressed. Like, we just choose, Sometimes people come to us and we're like, oh, we want them for this topic. And then sometimes we have a topic and then we just say, who do we know that matches this topic? And I'm just like so excited that
I love it.
We chose you, because this was just beautifully perfect. And,
thank you.
Of course, we always learn things when we do this stuff. So I'm very delighted by this delicious and scrumptious podcast that we've been hearing. And we get to see Simone in our presence. It just feels great.
Yes, you nailed it. That was amazing.
Is that making me memorable? Oh my God, did I do number 3? I brought it all together.
Katie Lemieux, everyone.
Awesome.
Take a bow.
What do you want to make sure our listeners take away from your message today?
I really want everyone to take away the power of truly believing in yourself and understanding that self-esteem, we've made it so cliche now, and you get this feeling of, oh, just love yourself and all will be well. And it's deeper than that. It's really deeper than that. It's really being able to honor and trust and be the best version of yourself that you can be. Sometimes I tell people, imagine that you came here as a seed. And you were too afraid to water yourself, too afraid to give any of the love to yourself, too afraid to shine sunlight on yourself, and you never blossomed. Well, in the end, you're not the full version of what you came here to be, and you don't, grow into an apple tree and bear apples and share with the world. You don't end up giving back to the fullness of what you were meant to do and be when you came here. So don't be afraid to water that seed that is self and let it grow to the fullest so that you can give exactly what you came here to give. It's not, self-esteem is not just for you. It starts with you, but it doesn't end there. And it really becomes a blessing onto the world. And it becomes a way to help clients and a way to reach people, whether it's audience setting or one-on-one. So don't be afraid to work on you. That's probably the biggest thing.
Cool. And I'm just like imagining like you can even practice like on your clients with the words and see how they answer.
Absolutely.
Like, ooh, what should I say?
Absolutely. And be a good listener, because when you listen to your clients, that's how you're going to learn their internal representation.
Sure.
So if they're sitting there saying to you always, I just don't see how this doesn't work. It doesn't look good. It doesn't make sense. And you're like, see, look, it doesn't look like, doesn't appear as if, okay, well, they're using a lot of visual language, return visual language to them. Absolutely.
So I know that you have a cool giveaway for the audience, and what is that?
I do. So we talked a lot about this rapport building. And so what I've done is create a cheat sheet for everyone with some of these, we call them the predicates, basically the see, look, feel, hear, touch, and even some sentences that could help. So I've created a cheat sheet of predicates that fit into the visual, auditory, gustatory, different areas, so that the client, you guys actually can get this in your hands, hold it, and utilize it to start right away, right now, building rapport in your one-on-one, practice it. So when you get on the stage, you can run through all of these different modalities and different internal representations and really make a difference and be memorable.
Fantastic. And how do they get that? And we'll also add that to the show notes page.
Oh, awesome. You can go ahead and email me at theselfesteemdoctor@gmail.com. It's a long one, but easy to remember, I think, by now. theselfesteemdoctor@gmail.com.
And is it DR or DOCTOR?
Thank you. Good one. It's spelled out DOCTOR.
All right.
I almost did not spell that. The Self-Esteem Doctor.
In addition to your awesome giveaway, do you have a book or any other resource that you would want to share with our audience about your topic here?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, when you get the cheat sheet, it will have a promotional code there for you where you're going to be able to go ahead and get a huge discount on the class that we talked about that teaches you in depth about building rapport, using the internal representational systems and the modalities and predicates. You're going to get a full class. And I call it my 30-minute lunchtime course because sometimes we're busy. We want these tools, but we're kind of busy. So it's a very quick class. It goes in depth really quickly and it's easy to follow. And it's just going to really fine tune everything we talked about here regarding rapport building.
And that's an online class that people can take?
Yeah, it's going to be an online course. Yeah, you're just going to go on there, use that promo code, get the class, and just take it right then and there. And of course, you can reach me for any questions you have. But it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Yes. So it's been great, and we had a blast with Simone today. I'm sure that you guys did too. And like I said, she is full of energy, and I'm sure that came through. So Startup Nation, don't forget to check out the show notes page for all the tips, resources, and links from today's show. We thank you for being our loyal listeners. We value your input, and don't forget to subscribe, rate, review, and go tell it on the K2 Mountain. Share this with your friends and colleagues. They need help and support too. Don't forget about the amazing bonuses we offered you in the beginning of the episode. And you know what? Have a great day. We look forward to inspiring you from startup to mastery.
Check you later, Startup Nation.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us on The Private Practice Startup. Visit theprivatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, free trainings, attorney-approved private practice paperwork, and so much more.